Have you ever found yourself wondering about the healing potential of the human body and the power of the mind and what is truly possible? Well, guys, today's episode is just for you then. Welcome, first of all, to the Xpanded Show with myself, Darren James. It's amazing to have you here today, and I'm truly excited for this episode. This week's guest, I got to sit down with Mr. Patrick Atherton, phenomenal human being, and honestly, his story is mind-blowing. If Pat had to listen to the doctors and his prognosis about a year ago when he was diagnosed with a cancerous brain tumor, he probably wouldn't be here today. But Pat decided to heal himself and to live and to create his own reality through a whole range of different methods, which we discussed today. But it's an amazing story. We touch on things such as meditation and how it's changed Pat's life. We talk about yoga and exercise, intermittent fasting, the benefits of the plant-based diet, in healing himself, cryotherapy, cold water swims, the power of the mind, and the teachings of people such as Dr. Joe Dispenza and Dr. Bruce Lipton, John Keogh, and how Pat is utilizing these teachings in his daily life. We talk about Pat's personal faith and his trusting in a higher power. We tackle the subject of the fear of death, and we even touch on this ridiculous COVID-19 situation we find ourselves in. Another area we touch on, which is truly fascinating for me, is the healing properties of cannabis oil and the endocannabinoid system. I'm going to put a link up in the description to an amazing TED Talk I would highly recommend you guys go check out by Dr. Rachel Knox. And this is information I truly believe we all should be aware of. So check it out. Let me know if you are interested in this specific product called Entourage Oil that Pat has been using to heal himself. It's honestly, it's phenomenal stuff. If things like cannabinoids and terpenes and all of these things sound foreign to you, don't worry. It was foreign to me as well. But the more I learn about this stuff and the potential healing benefits and all the amazing stuff that the stuff can do, it's a shame that not more of us know about it. So if you guys are interested in the product, let me know. I can hook you up, and check out entourageoil.co.za and let me know if you are interested. But without further ado, let's delve straight into this amazing episode, and please guys, let me know what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe as well if you're enjoying the content, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. We're rolling, bro. We're going. Yeah. Let's kick this off. You ready?
Yeah.
Go
for it, eh?
Pat, first of all, thanks for taking the time to be out
worries.
today, man. I really appreciate it. Got to give a bit of a shout out to our mutual friend Ivano Lupini.
Yeah, thanks for setting this up, man.
Yeah, old goat up in Mali. Nah, he's an absolute gem of a human, and
He is, eh?
yeah, he reached out and he was like, Darren, you got to chat to Pat. And I was just like, absolutely. And then I told Tara about the potential, and she was just like on my case, like, you got to get this up. So yeah, thanks to him for setting this up, and yeah, thanks for being here.
Well, I hope I can do it justice, eh?
No, definitely. I think this is going to be so much more than a podcast, because honestly, your story is phenomenal, and for me, it's very rare that I get to meet somebody who has so many kind of similar interests, especially in the esoteric side of things, and I mean, we did a cold swim this morning, which was phenomenal.
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah. I think we'll touch on that just now.
Okay,
a whole
cool.
range of topics I want to get into. But I think just to give some context to people who don't know you and don't know your story, can we just go back about a year ago? Was it almost a year now?
It would be a year ago on the 22nd of August, eh?
Yeah. Next week.
So I was... about a year ago, well, on the 22nd of August last year, I woke up, I was awake. We had a bride at a friend's place in Camps Bay on the Wednesday night, and then, went to bed, woke up as I normally do in the middle of the night to go to the toilet, and came back to bed and lay in bed, and, for about 2 minutes, and next thing you know, something started happening in my body, and I started having a seizure. I didn't know at the time. I just said, you think you're dying, and it felt like I was fading away. And the more I was trying to get words out, the more I was like, convulsing. And luckily my wife Jess was next to me, and because she volunteers for NSRI, so she was quite calm and collected. But she was asking, thinking I was having a nightmare. But I was crying like, please just help me. And you want to get out that.
I can't imagine for somebody who's never had a seizure what it must be like to not have control.
It's scary, eh? Yeah. And most people I've since found out are actually asleep when they're having their seizure, so they don't remember they're having a seizure. But I was awake, and so it was this scariest moments of my life. And I literally the worst fear for me was not being able to tell my wife I love her.
Did you think that it was the end?
I genuinely thought it was the end, eh? I just didn't know what was going on in my head, eh? It was literally the most frightening experience I've ever had, eh? And because I thought I'd lost my speech, and I know I feel bad when thinking about it now, but I mean, there's people out there who've never spoken in their life, and for me it was the most frightening experience, not thinking that am I ever going to be able to speak again. And then we went to Gardens, the Medicross in Mediclinic in Gardens.
Yes.
And they took me into the emergency room, got me on a bed. The doctors started attending to me, and then did their tests, and then everyone walked away from me, left me to just chillax and that. And the next thing I've started having a seizure again, and obviously again I had lost my speech, so no one could hear me, and so I started hitting the hospital bed to get the nurses' attention, and the nurses and doctors rushed over, and they just stood around me, and because I didn't realize at the time, but there's nothing they can do when your body's in seizure. People with epilepsy, I mean, that's what they go through their whole lives, eh?
I still can't comprehend that your body is doing something that you're not controlling. It's just,
No, it's scary. But about an hour later, I started getting my speech back. The doctors came and did further tests, and then they said I can go home. And I just knew I wasn't having any of it, eh? So I said to them, "There's something wrong. I'm not." And the night before, I'd smoking a joint, and I told the doctors, because I wanted to obviously tell them once I could speak, I wanted to tell them everything. So they were asking me about the night before, so I said I had a couple of drinks and I had smoked a joint, and then straight away the doctors blamed, it's because the weed. But I knew it wasn't that, eh? But still, they were insistent I could go home, and I just said no. And about 2 weeks prior to this, I went with my grandfather's wife Diane to a book launch. Well, my late grandfather. He passed away last year, July. But anyway, that's another story altogether. But so I went with her to this book launch, and I don't know if you remember the story about Jenna Lowe, Get Me to 21.
No, I've heard about it, but I don't know it. No.
So her mom wrote a book, Get Me to 21, as a tribute to her daughter and what's their story. And I just remember while she was talking, I don't know her exact words, but basically that's if the doctors had have done all their tests at their disposal, her daughter would be alive today. So I just refused to leave, and eventually they agreed to give me an MRI.
So they wanted to send you home, and that was it?
Yeah, and because they thought, it was the weed, eh? And that's why I was having the seizures. But they asked, after I went into the MRI, as soon as I knew, they said I had to go back in again. I knew something was wrong. And then the third time, when they asked they said I need to go back in, and they inject you with dye. so they can see whatever is going on, and that's when I knew for sure there's something wrong. I remember the doctor who was going to send me home come in, and I could just see her face. She just said, "I'm so sorry, but you have a 4x." Well, she didn't say the exact size, but she says you have a growth on your brain, and we recommend you see a neurosurgeon. So that was when I knew that I had this growth on my brain. We didn't know at the time whether it was cancerous or not, and then.
You said it was 4 by 5 centimeters size.
About that,
that's massive.
I mean, I think it's the size of a golf ball, basically. Saw the neurosurgeon, and they said they had to operate as soon as possible because I'd had they diagnosed me with it was a high grade terminal and incurable brain cancer. There's another special name for it, as a rare type of tumor, but
so incurable, terminal.
Yeah. So and then I mean, the first day when I googled what it was, I was scared for my life. So that's when I realized, don't Google.
It's amazing. And up until this point, when we spoke before this, you were telling me, till today, well, now you don't know what your prognosis is.
No.
You know that you've healed yourself.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
I just know from that first Google I did.
Yes. And you're like, I'm not looking at this.
Yeah, because basically it said, I don't
gave you bad news.
Yeah. Okay. But so I've just always chosen to not look at that. But I think I only really, those first week after having the seizure, meeting the neurosurgeon, if you saw me, I was in a bad place, scared, couldn't sleep. I mean, it was super scary. Jess obviously she's been strong throughout the whole thing, and but she the one morning, I think there was the following week or the same week after we saw the neuro, but she had to go do a Sweat 1000 class, and Andrew and Paul, the trainers, that own the business, they've just been amazing to us throughout the whole thing, and they introduced her to Johnny from Awake Yoga Studio upstairs in the Sweat Center, and she's a yoga teacher. She's a yoga teacher, but she's also a healer, and they just knew that I needed to meet with Johnny. I
had the pleasure of meeting her 2 days ago
on the Zoom
the Zoom call with you. That's fantastic. We did that yoga nidra meditation.
No,
she seems like an amazing person.
No, she's an amazing individual. But like my wife, she's I believe they're angels sent down to help me and protect me. So she taught me how to breathe and breathe my way through when I think I'm having seizures, and then she taught me to meditate. So I'd actually started with the yoga nidras with her, and now I do.
That was 5 days before your surgery.
It was a few days before my surgery, but she literally dedicated her next the days leading up to my surgery to teach me how to meditate and just calm myself down, because they wanted to have an awake surgery initially.
Okay.
I mean, I should tell you what the neurosurgeon said.
Tell us.
So basically, they needed to operate quickly because the tumor had. So they didn't know if I'd at the time whether, until they took it out, they didn't know at the time whether it was a high grade or low grade tumor. That's one thing they couldn't say, because they had to do a biopsy when they actually took the tumor out. But they had suspected that it was high grade, and that's why they needed to operate ASAP. And they gave me two options. The first option would be to remove the full tumor, but I would lose mobility in the right-hand side of my body. Or the second option would be to move as much of the tumor as possible, but they would still leave some because it was so near my motor cortex. And obviously, to to think of, I couldn't live with not being able to use the right hand side of my body, and it wasn't an option for me being a keen cyclist and runner.
Did they basically give you the option that you'll have more chance of survival if you go the full route? And
correct, yeah.
Okay, so you opted to take your chances and create your
take my chances and see how it goes from there. And so anyway, then obviously.
So did that? Just quickly going into the meditation before the surgery you're going to go into, even though it was like a crash course delving into it quickly before your surgery, that couple of days leading up to it, it must have really helped you just get.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like if you asked me to meditate before, or like even do yoga, I would have laughed at you. Like not as Jess always calls me a fairy, but.
It wasn't part of your world.
No, it wasn't. Like, and I just think, it actually forced me to, because now I was fighting for survival. Like,
yes,
I didn't know. I mean, I could have died in the surgery. You face in a life and death situation, like what you'll do, and that's when I started to realize like the power. I mean, I didn't go into the power of the mind until much later, but I started to then realize I think
kind of realize that you can take control of your state of being and just
100%.
calm yourself down with the
and I think also before then, like I was always a Christian and believed in God, but I don't think I gave God enough credit throughout my life.
Did meditation help you?
I definitely, like in those 5 days, I've refound my faith in God, and I was praying. It's weird, obviously, when you get put in those situations. I
can imagine.
Sadly, that's how a lot of people do find their faith again.
I think it's interesting the religious topic, because I'm not necessarily specifically religious. I went to a religious school and grew up semi-religious, and I kind of was put off that and went on my own journey. But the more I've gone down this road, especially with the meditation, I think it all points to the same thing. So whether whatever your faith is, you with techniques like meditation, all that stuff, you actually get to experience the divine or whatever that higher power, whatever it is, whatever you call it, God or whatever. I think it's phenomenal that you got to have a deeper understanding of your faith through the meditation.
I mean, I think in the ones leading up to, or was it after? I can't remember. But I mean, I've had some amazing experiences during meditation where I've witnessed. I wouldn't say God Himself, because it's not. But I've seen my grandfather, who was very religious, and sitting in prayer with me, and I've seen lights, like incredible lights, and we all have access to that healing light, and I believe that's the Holy Spirit. But it's just an incredible feeling when you can, and I don't manage to access it all the time, because it's there. We all have the ability to, and the power to access that healing energy, and
and it's difficult to describe. It's quite ineffable when you experience those states. It's different.
It's like you shake and I mean, I went with and Johnny can back me up on this, but like we got some pretty amazing experiences.
Yeah.
Like when I was lying down and doing the yoga nidra, which is like it's a form of yoga where 1 hour is worth 4 hours sleep, they say.
Yes.
And the key is not to fall asleep during that hour. And she talks you through. I mean, there's loads on the internet, and it's not a new practice or anything.
From what I experienced, obviously, it's doing one session with you. It's almost like quite a big body scan. You place in your awareness throughout your body. A lot of points to some of the stuff that the other teachers point to, which is great, and you becoming aware of all that.
But I even find now when I do them now, because I try to do like at least three times a week, generally with Johnny, but otherwise I've found a few cool ones online to do. I find now, like even the more I'm healing myself and getting to a point where now I believe it's gone.
Yeah.
I find I'm like falling back into the same trap, and you don't have those deep connections that I was previously getting. But I think the lockdowns also affected that, because normally you'd be in a studio with whoever,
yes, and
it helps when there's more people doing it, because the energy is electrified.
For sure. That collective energy definitely is a thing.
But I know I'm going off.
I know also we're going, but I want, before we get back onto that, just something popped up. You were telling me about that experience you had with the homeless person that you helped out. Such on the religious topic, and you're finding God. Can you tell us that story? Because I felt that was phenomenal.
No. So I've noticed, like, there's been a guy under a tree where the Greenpoint Stadium is. I forget what road it's called.
Going down to the waterfront.
It's the main road just before the roundabout. But coming past the stadium towards Sea Points. And on the left-hand side there, and I was actually telling my brother about the experience, and he said, no, you got to, like, listen. And you know, in your mind, I just had something telling in my mind to go and visit or speak to this guy. And I spoke to my brother, and he said, no, that's God. That's without a doubt. It's not. And that's, I think, where a lot of times where you think it's just your mind talking to you, but it's actually God. And anyway, I decided to help. Like, I've literally seen him for the last few months.
So you drive past and see him.
And he'd always be there, and I'd see him praying and all of that. And anyway, so I got back from my parents' place the other day, on Sunday, I think it was. And I saw he didn't have shoes on, so I put a pair of my shoes to give to him, and took 2 nut bars, some money, and I ended up running to him. And I normally, in these situations, I'll just like drop off the stuff, but when I got to the place where he was sitting, I just felt this, like, I don't know, it was a weird, like, calming energy in the air, and he was outside. I mean, the night before, it'd been raining, and it's been hectic weather, and he had his plastic around him. I mean, he had clothes and stuff, and then I ended up sitting down and speaking to him, and he said he was a prophet, which I believe, and he was teaching in a church in Khayelitsha. But he said Jehovah, which I had to go Google, but Jehovah means God in Hebrew or something like that, because he kept referencing Jehovah. So, and I probably should know this.
So you said to him you were going to pray for him or something, and he was like...
Yeah, and he said, no, and Jehovah, it doesn't work like that, he said to me. He said, Jehovah doesn't want you to pray for me because I'm a prophet.
Okay.
And he was so, like, he was happy, like, I mean, he's living outside in, like, the bad weather, he said, and he was specifically sent to that, I don't know if it was that exact spot or wherever, but that street, to pray for humankind, he said. Okay. And he started telling me the scripture, which to be honest, I didn't know what he was talking about, but I listened. And he started praying for me. I obviously told him a bit about my story and where I was at and how I found my faith. And he started praying for me. And I just, this emotion that came over me, I just started crying, And he said,
a mystical experience.
Yeah, and he said to me, Jehovah has healed you. And I believe it. Yeah. And...
it's amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, and then I actually went back yesterday. I dropped him off in Archie. I've actually bought some stuff.
So he's still there?
Yeah, he's still there. He's not going. I mean, he had like a diamond shape that he had created in the sand, and he said the shape of a diamond is, it's an angel. Okay. And the angel's there to protect him. And it was just weird, like there's a whole lot of other homeless people around. And normally when you like give into homeless people, all of them come running. Well, that's my experience anyway.
Yes.
Because they're desperate. But no one like came, eh? It was the weirdest experience. No, they just left us while I was sitting there. And I mean, I was obviously in my running gear, and I ended up taking off my running jacket and giving it to him.
Amazing.
Like he said to me that he's not allowed to beg, he can't. But he said if people want to give him stuff, they can. But otherwise, he's just quite happy to be there and pray. He said he's praying for humankind because we've just got so far gone from what it's all about, eh?
That's powerful.
And I've learned a lot about myself, and
it's amazing the synchronicities and the events and the people that you meet when you start tapping into that space of prayer and meditation and all that.
100%,
it's phenomenal. Just to quickly
go back
just to finish
surgery.
the surgery. You just want to get that.
So I had the surgery. Long story short, my wife's going to give me shit for saying that because she says I say that all the time. But they managed to get all the tumor, which was amazing. So after like 6.5 hours surgery, Dr. Ratowski said he managed to do a full resection of the tumor, which was great news. And I mean, I was supposed to be in hospital for 2 weeks and then rehab for 4 weeks. But I was out the hospital in 4 days. And I think mostly these things here are so bad for us. Yeah. It's not even funny. And I learned, like, I just saw, like, in the hospital where I was at in Christian Barnard, everyone, like, lying in bed. I don't know, they didn't all have whatever they had, but everyone was either had their headphones on or looking at their phones. And I obviously chose to not have mine. EMF exposure is real. And I think that's partly the reason also is because you didn't have your phone at all. I didn't have my phone at all. Just so you know, like I had probably like 20-30 people of my closest friends and family, my mom, my dad, my sister, there's definitely power in that collective energy. And it's they were there like all day, and I came out of my surgery. And you thought that was it, done, surgery success, I'm good to go. 100%. And then Jess even put out a post on Facebook, as she does, saying like the surgery was a success. Well, I thought anyway that was it. Yes. Like he's got it all. Like let's move. Like trying to get on with life. And I had to go see an oncologist, Dr. Sarah Fairhead, an amazing doctor. But I just thought it was a formality. Going to see the oncologist because I didn't really understand how cancer worked at the time. And so I went in with high spirits and like she was even, it's amazing that you're out of, like just a week ago you had like hectic brain surgery and now you're sitting here today. And so I was in good spirit. I had my brother and my father with me and Jess, and that's when my world came crashing down again, where I was told I was going to have to go through 30 rounds of radiation and six rounds or 6 months of chemo. I always actually forgot about this. It was quite funny. About 2 weeks before my seizure, I was starting to mumble my words. Okay. It was just funny, and she said, it's because you're from Boksburg. And then I said, no, it's because I have a brain tumor. And I said that actually twice, like in the 2 months leading up to my seizure. That's interesting. And that was, now when I think back to how powerful our minds are, it was my mind trying to tell me that I have a brain tumor. I actually forgot about that part of the story. It's amazing in hindsight how things make sense. I mean, it's... So you were basically diagnosed with cancer then, they told you? So then I was basically told, listen, because it had mutated into a grade 3, which is a high grade. They knew it was high grade. And Actually, yeah. So that's when I got my when I was told, because they'd obviously done a biopsy of the tumor, and then they realized, okay, cool. So it's a bit more serious than, even it was serious before, but now it was a bit more serious because they realized it had mutated. Because grade 3 is, it's not, I think brain tumors are different from cancer. So cancer, it's level 4 or
stage 4.
Stage 4, whereas this is grade. So that brain cancer works in grades.
Sure.
I think. Like I said, I don't know too much, but I believe that's what, when I hear Jay speak. But
so where was the point where you were like, I'm going to take a step back, I don't want to know my prognosis, I'm going to decide to live, I'm going to heal myself?
I think it was about that time when I found out, I think we went down to... We were at the hospital for a skip, because I was having to go to the hospital quite a bit, and I went and Googled, I forget what it's called, it's an anaplastic astrocytoma, something like that, And I went and Googled it, and that's when I realized I just don't want to know. I started reading a book called Anti-Cancer, which everyone should read, I believe, because it's not just about people with cancer. And that's when I decided to go vegan. Not because that he specifically said go vegan. It's just because I felt like before I got sick, I was eating biltong every day. Lots of meat in my diet, hardly any veg. I was still healthy.
Less of a balance.
Yeah, but I was doing the like Banting type diets or lifestyle. But so
you went full plant-based and just...
so I went full plant-based up until 2 days before lockdown.
Amazing.
But now that I look back, and it's like, and obviously I'll continue explaining more of my story, but I think
one of the factors.
Just now when I look back at it, and the food is so powerful. Like there's so much, like especially like raw food, like beetroot, and I was having a lot of beetroot and
the life force and the energy in those foods.
It's just there's so much good food. And pawpaw, like while you're on chemo, is good for you. Yeah, it's. But no, it was good. Like, and I needed that detox, and it got me into, like, I was running, quicker than I'd ever. You're not as weak as people think. Like, you need this meat, animal protein, and
you realize you can survive on plants.
No, you can't. And it's like we found so many new dishes that we now incorporate into. Even now that I'm not vegan, like I'll still have days where. Because we've limited our meat intake now, so we'll have days where we just do vegan. Some days we do fish now. I do make sure that it's all organic, so Farm Angus.
That's a big.
Or there's a couple of other brands, but I don't just have any meat.
For sure, I've been on the plant-based journey for a good few years. I'd say about 5 years or so, and I was quite hardcore, like strict vegan, and like I live that way, but I also believe it's like I highly recommend people who just still eat meat, but just less of it, not just meat 3 times a day every day. So it's about balance, getting that balance.
100%. I think also, like, if you watch that, I mean, there's so many things that I've watched that's like changed my life, but Heal was one of the documentaries I've watched.
On Netflix, I've seen it. Yes.
And that's all about healing yourself and through what we eat. And
there's some cool names in that.
Game Changers.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Because my cousin Justin in New Zealand, he's been vegan for a few years, and he was always trying to, and I would laugh at him, like vegan, like, and it's weird. Like when I became vegan. Be
careful behind you. Oh shit. I think the chair's no stress. I think you might have to just come a little bit forward. I see as you're moving the chairs, there we go.
Sorry, man.
Cool, man. No.
So he was always, and I
was also that guy. I was like, I would laugh at vegans. I'd be like, this is a joke.
No, and it was be like a funny thing for me now. Like but then my friends now started to take the piss out of me.
Oh, yeah.
But
it's part of the go.
Yeah, and I didn't mind at the time, but obviously I'm not I can't call myself vegan anymore. but we've definitely reduced our meat intake, and I think that's what Game Changers was all about. It wasn't to get everyone to go vegan, but just to reduce our meat consumption.
Yes, just be more conscious about what you put in your body,
exactly,
essentially. Because I think, especially when it comes to food as a society, we just, especially with what's out there now, the fast foods, all that, we're not really aware of what we're putting in. So just to make those conscious decisions, organic foods, I've gone to the organic route now and definitely can see a difference in, what you're putting in is essential to your health and vitality. I think. So that's obviously one of the main aspects that you changed. But delve into the power of the mind. Like, I know that's something that...
So Ivano actually, he bought me, he had sent me the Joe Rogan podcast with Joe Dispenza.
Yes.
He sent me that interview, and then Ivano bought me the Becoming Supernatural book.
Yes.
Then I went and bought the Thinking, I got the Audible version, but I found myself like falling asleep, and I just decided, no, I'm going to read the book rather. It was life-changing,
I can imagine.
And just like reading, and it all makes sense. Like his story, and I may get the story a bit mixed up, but in 1985, Joe Dispenza had a bicycle accident. I don't know if he broke his back in multiple places, and the doctor said he had to have this hectic surgery. Yeah. And he ended up healing himself in like a 3-month meditation, doing it over and over in his brain or in his mind until he perfected the surgery. Yeah. And he walked again and healed himself. What's nice now is he's actually got science behind it. So when you go to, like, I haven't been to his workshop. I was actually supposed to be one in Singapore in July, but obviously because of COVID and lockdown, it got cancelled. But he's got another one with Bruce Lipton someone else in Israel in November, which I'm hoping if
the borders open.
Borders open, but I'll definitely go to that.
I think the live seminars, to be in that space with all the people raising their energy on that level.
And obviously when I first started doing these meditations, it was a bit because I also read what do you call it? You Are the Placebo.
Oh yes.
Yeah. So and listening to Joe Dispenza during Heal.
Yes,
he also had a bit of a cameo in there.
Yes.
So I just started, and then I became a member on his website, and then downloaded, paid for he's got some meditations.
I got all of them on my phone. As well.
So the first two it's what on Audible. It's
you also. Just quick interjection there, John Keogh. There's not many people I meet who actually know John Keogh.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know about him, and then one of the trainers at Sweat, Lauren, actually gave me the book.
Yes.
And I didn't read it until much later.
And it was a Mind Power into the 21st century.
I'd always like just focus. So You Are the Placebo meditations.
Okay.
So I was always doing Joe Dispenza stuff, and then. She had given me this book, but I didn't bother reading it for a while, and I remember she actually who asked me? Someone then asked me, have I read Mind Power into the 21st Century? And I said no. Actually, I got given that book a while ago by Lauren, and then I just decided to read it. And it's actually a quick read. Like I think I read it in 2 days. And it's my book of choice to tell people who don't quite understand.
To entry into that field.
Entry into the field of... Because there's real life examples that you can put to practice straight away.
Exactly.
So like one of them
and there's techniques you can start implementing immediately.
Yeah, so one of them is every night before I go to bed, I say every day in every way, I'm getting better and better for 2 minutes.
That's one of the John Keogh's affirmations.
And then when I do remember in the mornings, I just had to stop because it's bugs.
Every day in every way, I'm getting better and better.
Exactly. And there's like, tonight I will dream and I'll remember my dream.
Yes.
I've done that and it works 100%. And
the
visualizations, the positive affirmations. There's loads of things that,
But for anybody listening, basically what John Q advocates is a daily practice of actually creating your reality and actually making it part of your day. Like you would go to exercise, spend some time actually focusing and visualizing and putting that energy out there so that you attract exactly what you see.
Exactly. And what Joe Dispenza, where his is more powerful for me is, and it's a difficult read and it's for people to get into, but once you know the process, and I haven't perfected the process, then that's why I want to go to his workshops because I'm sure it's mind-blowing.
I still struggle to some degree. It's just a lot.
But I have like a couple of times, or actually more than, definitely like 20 times at least throughout the year. I mean, I'm not as good as I was probably since lockdown, or actually maybe just over the last month. I haven't been able to do his daily. So I've got like a few like 20-30 minute ones.
You got to find the ones that work for you.
And there's quite a few that I found, but I still do his, because what Joe Dispenza gets you to do is you get to a point where you become nothing. And I know it's difficult for
to explain.
And but definitely, when I'm there, I always ask God, that because people associate darkness with evil and whatnot. So I was always at one stage a bit nervous, but I'd always then ask God, are you there? And he would reply saying yes, and then you just go, and it's basically just pitch black. You start to see stars, and it's just like
you go deep. You
go deep, and it's literally like the human brain processes. I read the other day about 70,000 thoughts a day. I mean, 70,000. That's a shitload. So you got to clear all that clutter. And once you can do that, like he gets you, and obviously your breathing is so important, because you focus on your breath. So your breath's your anchor points. And then he gets you to focus on, as with the yoga nidra, the different parts of your body. And then
I must say, what's nice with Joe Dispenza, I started my journey. John Q, I did a course years ago, and that for me was the catalyst that's got me on this weird journey of looking into all these things. But John Q is definitely a good entry point for somebody looking into that stuff. But what I love about Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza's book, he really merges that science with the spirituality. Because you can look at these topics and be like, that's kind of laughable, this new agey stuff. But Joe Dispenza really, he shows you the brain scans. He shows you how he changes people with these techniques, and how, like you were saying, 70,000 thoughts a day. I watched something the other day also with Joe Dispenza, and he was talking about a similar thing, and most of those thoughts every day are the same thoughts as the day before.
100%.
So if you keep reliving the same thoughts, you're going to keep living the same life. But if you change your thoughts and your emotions, and you change your state of being, you change your life, and you create your reality. And that's kind of the crux of it, I suppose.
But even like he says, I mean, I think it's him who says it, but you grow up believing that your parents, your grandparents all had cancer. So you telling yourself in your mind, I'm going to get cancer, and you scare yourself and you put fear, but you keep reliving it. Eventually you're going to get cancer, and it's the same with a person
That's why I think it's so powerful. I think it's so powerful what you told me, that you don't want to know your prognosis, because in your mind you've healed yourself, and you're healing yourself daily. So, and that's the secret. Because if you're focusing on all the bad news,
100%,
you're going to attract that essentially.
And don't get me wrong. I mean, I've had some bad times. I'm on antidepressants at the moment, and I'm not ashamed to say it. I was always thought it was a bad thing to be on antidepressants, but they do help. And I know probably that I can sort myself out in my mind, but that's when I get to the next point that I'd like to get to. But it helps me to wake up in the day.
Part of your journey now, it helps you to work.
And it's so where I was going, like, if you tell yourself you get headaches all the time, and you're going to have headaches all the time, because you've trained your mind to you put out. And so where I was going, so with his meditations, he gets you to create a future that you want. So once you come out of that darkness and the nothingness,
come back to a new body in a new place.
And you now, but you got to feel it emotionally. So he gets you to feel it emotionally, and like you visualize your future. And it's so real, like some of the experiences I've had, and obviously I've put out there that my wife and I are going to have kids, and like holding my baby, it's like
you got to see it and feel it,
but you feel it, and it's like an incredible experience,
because your subconscious doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is
exactly
what is visualized. So you're putting that energy out there,
and the more you you think of something, the more it's more chance of it has.
It's like a muscle you have to work, and you create.
And it becomes reality eventually. And it's proven now.
Yeah.
He's like this. He's literally got people who follow him. And not just follow him, but like he has taught that have gone through Joe Dispenza's techniques and ways. That have healed themselves completely. I mean, it's mind blowing stuff, And I want to be in a room. That's why I want to go to one of his workshops, because the energy is amplified when you got so many people with this putting out the same energy, and that's all healing energy, and it's good energy, and it's So I want to be part of that.
100%. It is something that you have to practice, and then once you start to see how you are creating your life, it reinforces that. And like just something I've never told, but back about 6 years ago, when I wanted to really test out this technique, I was like, does this stuff really work? Because obviously you doubt it. I mean, we're human, and I wanted to go work in West Africa on contract, but at that stage there was no conceivable way. But I was doing the practices, and I was visualizing that every day, and sitting without a job, sending out CVs, and one day I just woke up, and for somebody inside me was like, okay, I got a job. I intuitively knew. And I got a random email, and I got this job that I'd applied for, and the chances of me getting it were like slim to none. And that's when I realized, I was like, the power of this. And since then, I kind of fall off it now and then, but it's once you realize that you can create your own reality, the only limitations that you have are what you place on yourself, essentially.
100%,
So that's super powerful. And
have you ever felt energy?
Yeah.
But Johnny actually taught me how to actually create energy around your body and feel it.
Really?
It's so amazing. And you can actually play with it, and
that's something
like
I'd
literally
love
place it on. No,
I need to come with you actually and do that.
But it was when she first taught me to do that, I also was quite skeptical.
Okay.
But she spoke me through it, and you can create your own energy around you, and you can actually feel it
100%
and play with it, and then you put it wherever you want to heal yourself, because it's all good energy. So you can either you can decide to give it to someone else, or heal yourself. But so I would take that energy and put it on my head, and
put it there, heal yourself.
And it's as I said, it's
I always, it's one of the things to know intellectually. You read about energy, you see all the stuff about it, but to actually know it is a different thing, because you have to experience it. And what it took for me was, I did a holotropic breathing workshop. It was actually in Seapoint at that's a yoga studio there, Wild Things Yoga.
Okay.
So they had a guy.
It's on the same floor as Sweat 1000.
On the same floor there. So they had a guy come, and he was doing this holotropic breathing, and I heard about it, and I was like, sure. I'd read about Wim Hof and that. So I did this hour. It was actually a 2-hour session where people are in the room, and he gets you to get this rhythmic breathing going, and the state of consciousness that you get to with that breathing, and you feel the energy pulsing through your body, was, for me, that's when I knew energy was real. And I was like, wow. And subsequently I got into the Wim Hof breathing, which I do every morning just to start my day, and that for me is, you can tap into that energy every day.
100%.
But I'd love to come with you and learn that.
She's taught me so many different things, but it's everything that she always teaches is just like, and she went to, I think, India like a couple of years ago. So she's learned from proper like hardcore monks. I think they were monks. But it's literally we are more powerful than we think we are.
And that's the secret of it.
And I don't, like, most people don't realize how powerful our minds are. And even with this COVID nonsense now, it's like I think what happens is people are seeing so much bad situations in the news, and they make themselves sick, because all of us, my wife had tested positive for COVID about a few weeks, like a month or so ago. And I was in the same bed as her, and I'm a cancer patient. So my oncologist and all that were worried, and so she went for a test maybe a week after she had like the first symptoms. And I mean, her symptoms were only she lost her taste and smell, which isn't one of the main symptoms,
Okay.
but because she volunteers for Sea Rescue, they said she must go get tested. So I went with her to get tested, and she tested positive and I tested negative. But I slept, then I isolated, well, not isolated, but I slept in the spare room. But I'd already been sleeping with her for, a week before. And I believe it's your mind.
Yeah.
And I know there are...
Do you think you're going to get COVID every day and you're worried about COVID and you're stressing about COVID?
No, but then you find out you have it. Yeah. That's why it's a good thing if you don't know you have it, because... Then you don't make it. Yeah. Then you don't see and visualize these what you've seen on the news that's happening to. And unfortunately, it is real, but it's not. If you're unhealthy and your mind's not in the right place,
and you're in that sympathetic state all the time,
you're going to be in trouble there. But
I agree. I think that's also something I wanted to pick your brain on, that deep-seated fear of death. If you boil it down to either, I think Jim Carrey said it so well, you're either making a decision from a place of love or fear. And with this mass-scale fear that's perpetuated society at the moment, I think it all boils down to that fear of death. And it's like, you obviously had to face that in a lot more severe way with your own mortality, like, wow, okay, I potentially could die. Was that quite a thing to process, the facing death?
It was. I won't lie. I mean, sometimes I still have those days where I wake up and, I don't know, like my wife and I, like, we've got a great relationship. And, I mean, I love her with all my heart and that, but I would be lying to you if we like go through like down. We do. I mean, we're human. Yeah, exactly. And you do go down the rabbit hole of if and when. But to be honest, like if you have your faith, I'm not scared of like. She isn't scared of dying. I mean, Jace is one of the bravest people I know. Well, she is the bravest person I know. And so but for me, it's if you have your faith, we're more than just the body,
Yes,
and our souls are far more important than the body,
Yes.
And if it's my time to go, then so be it. But I personally think, I know it now that I've got a purpose now to fill, and my purpose is to help and inspire people. Who's going through similar situations, but not just with cancer and all that, but like I want to help people who have. I mean, in this country, in South Africa, like the fact that data is still so expensive, and there's no ways the masses are going to get out of poverty and that without having access to the internet,
being able to educate themselves,
and to educate themselves. It's mind blowing that
so many challenges. But your whole, I know you mentioned this to me before. I think when you're faced with the fear of death, and I was just thinking about this now, but like the Stoics and any spiritual teachings, they talk. We like to deny and not think about death as like something that, but once you face and think about it and realize, okay, then you can actually live life with purpose and be like, okay, what am I going to do with my life? And I think for you, from what I've seen, so you've had a bit of a 180 and you realize you're maybe chasing the wrong things, or you realize what's important.
You do. That's a sad thing. I mean, it's not the sad thing, but we do. As humans, it's human nature, and you chase all these properties and these fancy things, and I mean the list goes on. And I was that person. Like I was driven by greed and money, and obviously there's people wealthier than we'll all ever be, but chasing that and since I've stopped chasing that, things have just been like good and comfortable for Jason and I. It's like one thing after the next just keeps happening, and like opportunities and doors open. Through one of my meditations actually was Jess was I think it was early December, when I was starting my radiation, and Jess asked to work from home so she could take me to my radiation. Jess was in a bad place, and all she was asking for was the week off and to work from home, where we've now seen people working from home are more productive than going into the office.
Yes.
But her boss said no, she must take paid leave, and that's when we just I realized, and I came after meditation, and it was early in the morning, probably like 6 when I finished my meditation, and she woke up, and I said, send your resignation letter, we will be fine. And she sent it, and as I said, everything's just been fine for us. Obviously she has started her own business now, landing clients, people want to work with, but what you put out in the world, but you mustn't.
You have to take that risk.
Things just happen for you and make things easier.
That I find it, for me, it's like that flow state. And once you stop trying to force the outcome and start trying to control life, and actually to some degree let go and have set your intentions and do your thing, but once you kind of trust life and the process, and even though there's uncertainty, and stop trying to control it all, things kind of fall into place and actually work out beautifully. And for me, when I reflect in hindsight, I look at times when I've tried to force this outcome and try to do this and try to do that, life doesn't really seem to work there. But as soon as you kind of, actually, that's not working, that lifestyle isn't working, and lockdown specifically has been quite an eye-opener for me and Tara in that regard. It's like, we both had our jobs, looked at as really great, but our lives were very disconnected, very kind of, we weren't really happy. And now moving forward, it's like, what do we actually want to do?
Yeah.
And this is obviously one of the things I want to do, but I think it's trusting the process and having your practices and trusting whatever it is, if it's God, if it's whatever your beliefs are. But there's power in that. There's higher power that we don't understand, and I think it's phenomenal. Just quickly, so there's another interjection. We did the cold water swim this morning. Something I've been doing for about a year now, and that's changed my life. I can never have a bad day if I've done a cold swim. No, well, that's the thing, so what got you into that? Or was it just one of the things you...
I just read somewhere that's how good it is for the body, and I didn't practice. I heard about Wim Hof, and then I ended up meeting... So Jess and I went to...
For anybody that doesn't know Wim Hof, go check him out, listen to a podcast, and his method has changed my life.
So I don't actually follow his method. I've never watched... I downloaded his app, but then I never took it further.
I also got the app. I've never used the app. All you got to do is go on YouTube. I'll send you a link, actually. One of the things. 20 minutes in the morning of the breathing, 4 rounds. And I was skeptical. I've tried many different practices in my life, and this is the one that I swear by.
Okay.
It's a phenomenal breathing technique that just it's phenomenal. But
but I mean, I started doing it, and then I just managed to, and I think because of my situation, it was a lot easier for me to realize that, and for me it was a mind thing as well. I believe it's also all in your mind, that cold.
Yeah.
Yes, it does get cold, and you shiver, and afterwards you freezing, but. So I've never actually done his breathing, but I just had read how good it is for the body, and I just got straight into it. It was weird. I think I did the first time I did it for 5 minutes, and I was fine, and then I think I did it the next time I did 20, and then I've just been consistently doing it 20 minutes, right up until lockdown. Actually, we do that there at Saunders Rock in Bantry Bay. Which was a cool place to do it, and now we went to Camps Bay Tidal Pool today. But it's there's and then I'd learn from the people I'd meet in the water.
You meet people in the ocean.
Exactly. And then sometimes you'd be talking to people, and then they'd see my scars in my head, and then asking me what's the story and that, and then I would obviously start telling them, and then next thing you realize is 25 minutes. But those were, and you meet. I've met so many amazing people.
For sure.
But so I would religiously go to you. So your oncologist tell you to rest and but for me rest was not an option, because my mind goes down a rabbit hole. Whereas when I'm working out, And like I said, that's why I religiously went to sweat one. Even when the days I was feeling not so great.
So even throughout chemo, you did the sweat. Religiously, you made sure that you were training your body.
Yeah, I mean, so if I didn't do a sweat class, like for me, that was like, I mean, I'd wake up at 4:30 to meditate for an hour, and then we'd go to sweat.
That's crazy.
But
just on the chemo note, I wanted to bring this up because I'll be honest, I don't really have a very positive perspective, I'd say, on chemo. I'm looking into all the alternative stuff. You hear a lot of things about chemo, which, you know, sometimes wonder why people would do it. But what you said to me was really profound, and I was like, shit, that obviously is the right way to do it. I mean, the placebo effect is obviously a real thing as well. And I kind of asked you, weren't you worried about the negative effects of chemo and the poison and all that? And you basically said to me, no, it's not what you're putting into your body.
Yeah,
because I mean, you don't view it as that. You view it as healing yourself.
Yeah, 100%. You have to. If you see it as poison, which a lot of people always said to me, my business partner and all of them are properly anti-chemo and that, but not from experiences, but experiences with family and that. But Johnny taught me to see it as like working, rather than it being poison. Your mind is so powerful that, like, if you tell yourself that something's going to work, it's going to work. And I never
and
really...
the fact that you could exercise during chemo, obviously your body was in a good space to be able to do that.
No, I mean, my body, like, I'm in the best shape of my life at the moment, and physically and mentally. Okay. And it's just because, I've tried various things, and like turmeric, like I never knew turmeric is like so powerful. Yeah. So when you're fighting for your life, you're willing to try everything. Yes. And I can't pinpoint what's actually worked.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's so many different facets to what you've been doing, but I think they're all pieces of a puzzle that are 100% testament to how you strong you are today. And other thing I wanted to touch on was the that documentary or that TED talk you sent me on the endocannabinoid system was phenomenal.
Dr. Rachel Knox.
Yeah, I did a podcast.
Amazing.
Yeah, she really is. I did a podcast with a guy, Ryan, and we just spoke about cannabis and how it changed his life. And he was also touching on the cannabinoids and the system that we don't know about. And I don't even know why we don't know about this, but you've also been using the cannabis oil and how that's helped you, and that's phenomenal.
So my brother-in-law has he makes his own. So it's called Entourage Oil.
Entourage Oil. It's pretty cool. I'll definitely put that in.
But it's amazing stuff. And to be honest, like I was always like quite suspect, like because I've always in the back of my mind as well. Because I always used to smoke a bit, not like regularly, but every now and then. Yeah. With my mates, and I think we've been trained in our minds as well, by governments and big pharma companies to think that cannabis is, and don't get me wrong, it can be bad
if
for you.
Abused,
and it can,
like anything, 100%, I suppose, but the benefits are there, and people need to know about it.
And this Dr. Rachel Knox, it's literally a 16-minute TED talk.
I'm actually going to link the clip, the link to that because I couldn't believe what I was watching. Even after I watched that, Tara said to me, she's like, "Where's those drops?" She was like,
it just makes so much sense.
It makes sense. And it's like, it's crazy how we don't know about this. But what are the 5 things?
It's meditation and yoga. Detox. Herbs and cannabis.
Yeah.
Healthy foods.
Yeah. And love.
Yeah,
love
and love. I mean, and love is God, and for me anyway. And
for sure.
Love is like, and that's why I don't like buy into this whole COVID thing, because having to wear masks and not embrace and hug one another is just like it's disgusting. It's evil at work. And,
it is. There's definitely evil forces.
The conspiracy theories and all of that, but it's 100% something more sinister going on, because it's
Look, I from the beginning of this lockdown, I always thought there was something suspect with this COVID thing, and I think this is a conversation we could have separately. But I looked into it, and I started watching interviews with doctors that were being censored, and watching and seeing stuff that made sense, and actually seeing, hang on, there's something else going on here that's none of this makes sense. Like you say, the masks, the keeping away, not connecting. We need to connect. We need to socialize. That's part of our human nature. Like, I've not been able to exercise, go to a gym. being constricted, and like I was going mad in an apartment. I couldn't even walk in the streets. I was
crazy.
like, there's something not right here. Like, no matter what disease is out there, the government doesn't get to dictate how I live my life.
100%, dude.
There's something really wrong that's going on at the moment, and people need to wake up to it. I think they really do.
Well, Jess is actually, so my wife, she helped set up an organization called PANDA, which stands for Pandemic and Analysis.
Did Jess set that up?
Yeah, she was.
Oh, really?
Where
did I see that? I've seen Panda
it's
somewhere.
been all over the news.
They
came out with a study, like when the first lockdown hit, they basically said lockdown will kill more people than the actual virus.
100%.
And they've been, big time against the lockdown.
Do you know what? Something that I saw yesterday, and I actually can't believe this. It was on the mainstream news, and the stats are there. Normally, every year, about 10,000 people die of the flu. This year, there's been 0 people who've died from the flu.
But that's what they've been trying to tell people.
But there's 11,000 COVID deaths. So, it seems like a normal flu season to me at the moment. It's like, if you put 2 and 2 together, none of this makes sense. How can there be no flu deaths all of a sudden?
No, it's crazy.
There's something else going on there.
It's a different topic altogether, but it's like...
The thing is, the term conspiracy theorist gets thrown around too easily these days.
No, but I mean, it's sad. I mean, you look at like kids, how they've become
the schooling system, what they're doing to the indoctrination
I mean, it's the fact that schools aren't like completely open, and it's like you look at kids now and you hear of all these stories. Like, I mean, kids shouldn't be depressed at a young age. I mean, there's a lot of kids who have hard enough lives at home, have hard lives at home, and now they can't go to school where things were normal for them. Like, that's 100%. The one place where they'd go to where they could get out of their bad environments that they're living in. It's
100%.
It's a roll-on, knock-on effect that this, and obviously jobs lost, and
it's crazy. Tara's got 2 younger sisters, and chatting to her when she first went back to school, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She was telling me about they get breathe breaks every now and then. They can go and stand on their dots and socially distance, and then they can breathe, and like all the protocols. For me, it's a case of, surely as an educator or thinking logically, as somebody enforcing these rules, you must realize that they're completely asinine. They don't make any sense.
And kids also, it's proven that they don't spread the... Well, I mean, I think they can spread it, but they don't... I was
listening to something interesting, and the problem is they're controlling the masses with fear. And when you're in a state of fear and you're in that flight or fight mode, that sympathetic state, your prefrontal cortex actually diminishes the capacity to work. So you get dumber when you're in a state of fear. So people don't think rationally. They've been controlled by this COVID, the numbers every day on the TV, which is all bullshit, and in my opinion. But
100%,
people aren't thinking rationally because they live in such a state of fear. And I think, we've got to choose love. Just on the COVID stuff, I know we could probably get lost in that one, but I think it's definitely a topic that's there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. But what else did I want to delve into? The intermittent fasting.
So
another aspect that you've embraced.
So I only Jess was trying to get me, like, she's just amazing. But anyway, she was through her groups and all of that. Like, she's joined so many different cancer support groups on Facebook, and like just to like, she wants, obviously she's been. She wants me to live as much as I want to live.
Sure.
And then she was trying to get me to do this fasting for because she was reading about, and specifically keto. But I can't do keto. But it helps with chemotherapy. When someone who's going through chemotherapy. But I was reluctant, and then my second last round, it was quite I had quite a few. It wasn't like bad experiences, but like I was getting a lot more sick, and actually had. So when I got stage 4 hemorrhoids.
Hectic!
Which Jess just said, we'll try putting the Entourage Oil on the. So onto the piles. Because they were gone in 2 days.
Cheapest.
And to think they were going to operate, with the Entourage Oil. So there's multiple benefits of the stuff. But
Amazing.
Yeah, so
So
then
intermittent fasting.
Yeah, so then
did you try that out? You were skeptical. And
yeah,
then
I was skeptical just because Jess had read so many like success stories of like it helped people going through chemo and all of that. So eventually, okay, cool, I'm going to try it. First 2 days were hard, but then it's the best thing I've ever done.
It changed your life.
Yeah, I mean, various things have like when I went vegan, obviously it said that changed my life, but all these learning experiences that previously I would have never even thought to try. It's just amazing.
It's a perspective shift on how you approach food and eating and that.
And we were actually going to go on after I'd started it, but there's a fast you can go do a 10-day fast. There's some place in Mossel Bay with some doctor, but she didn't want to take me because I was still on chemo at the time.
Yes.
But since I've realized it's actually I probably could do it. Because you just feel like even sometimes once or twice I've pushed it to like 24 hours, and this was just after our friend Phil. He's also a pilot, and he's been fasting for he does proper keto.
Okay.
And he said, some days you can just push it.
Yes.
But you don't even realize it because humans we consume so much, but we're not supposed to.
We're not supposed
so
to.
much.
Yeah, that's also one thing that's killing us. 100%. We eat too much. We overeat as a society.
100%, and there's so much wastage. Like people are going hungry, yet we're throwing away so much food. It's actually frightening, and it's wrong in so many ways.
We can live on so much less, and our bodies thrive, and we feel better.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I was very skeptical of the fasting thing, but I kept coming up against it with podcasts specifically. I listened to it because I've always loved podcasts, hence why I started one. But always it kept coming up, this topic of fasting, and people like Walter Longo and David Sinclair and all the longevity people who study longevity, they kept pointing to fasting and how that was the cell autophagy, how your cells get time to regenerate. All of that science is there when you give your body a break from just constantly processing food and whatnot. And subsequently, I've started the intermittent fasting. I've done a couple of long ones, but I actually in lockdown did a 7-day water fast.
Oh, have you? On your own?
Yeah. So I did I first did a 3.5 day fast. I'd recommend doing that. And then I was in Thailand. I went to like a retreat and I did that with colonics and cleansers, but that's a whole other topic. And then I did a 7-day water fast now a few months ago, and that was a whole other topic, getting deep, like meditation wise. If you want to go spiritually deep, there's something about fasting and if you look at all the spiritual religious people, there's something about
40 days or something.
The fasting is powerful. But anyway, so the intermittent fasting, I've definitely felt that days when I don't do it every day, but I just push my first meal up until like lunchtime, and that mental clarity and all the rest, you realize you don't need to eat all the time.
100%. There's so many more benefits than just like, it's not just a diet to lose weight.
No.
It's actually mentally and physically.
Mental clarity.
It's just so good for your body.
100%. I picked up at work as well, flying around, and when the days that I was fasting and working, I was much more ahead of the curve, sharper, and I could operate better. When I asked you to eat a big meal, you're kind of lethargic, you're tired, slow. There's power in that, definitely.
But again, it's a mind thing.
100%.
Like you're thinking, when you try to tell someone to fast, they're like, oh no, it's impossible.
Yeah.
I love food too much.
It's just a mind thing.
It's just a mind thing.
And that's what I, just going to the cold water swim, which we actually wanted to touch on earlier, but besides obviously the physiological benefits of the body, for me, one of the best things about it is every time I go in the cold water, it's like, fuck, I don't want to do this. Like I have to force myself to do it. And there's something liberating about actually pushing through and having the power to realize, actually, I'm stronger than my mind. 100%. My mind's telling me, get out of here, what are you doing? You can't fast, you can't do this. Once you push past it, that's kind of liberation from that.
100%.
It's the same with fasting. And once you do it, you realize actually there's nothing much to it.
And you feel so good afterwards.
Yeah.
100%. And you got to do what makes you happy.
For sure.
Because happiness is like so important. Like I've realized to be happy. It's like my wife and I, we're obviously like we want to have children and all those things. And sadly we've been set back a bit, but it's like tough times. But ultimately, happiness is like the ultimate for us. That's a proper state of like
quality of life. You want to create
quality of
that.
life, yeah. And it's like you have to, like, as much as people, and I've grown up in that, you hear people saying be positive all the time, and you just always thought that was wishy-washy bullshit. But it's so true. You like have to daily work on your mind.
That's the thing.
To make sure you're doing the positive affirmations and and all the and things will happen in your life. I promise you now. It's like
100%. I think
you meet people, and these kids that not these kids, but these staff at this charity that I've been volunteering at, which only started this week.
At the Project Playground.
You just meet these people, and they're just so amazing. And they live in a township, most of them.
Your goal with that charity to teach meditation?
Well, no, I actually wanted to. During a meditation, I just saw one of my good friends. He's a Swede.
Okay.
And he's Project Playground is Swedish linked, and I just remember him because I owned a few Uber cars before, and he always used to get my drivers to take guests to view Project Playground. Not that they would never do it to go see the kids, but just to show them the facilities and that, because they don't believe in like some places where you go and it's like it's not a zoo. It's not a place you can just go and take pictures of poor people and feel good about yourself.
Get the African experience.
Have the African experience. It's not about that. And he was coaching football at the time. He also started volunteering, and he was a soccer coach there. And just through one of my meditations, God said to me, you've been given the second opportunity at life, time to give. And I just could, obviously I wanted to volunteer somewhere where I knew, because you get a lot of places that are dodgy and skeptical, but this was a place where I could actually go. And then when I met Frida, who's one of the founders, also an amazing human being, she said, and I was telling her my story, and she was like, because they already meditate there, and she's like, can't you teach meditation? Because I wanted to volunteer to teach them, because in my mind, like, education is and she was telling me how technologically behind most of the children and even some of the staff are there, and it's because of education. And so what I wanted to do is teach, and Google actually have it's called Google Skills for Africa. So it's a free. I think they've got like 136 free courses, which
I didn't even know about that.
You can get certificates and badges and certified. So you provide, and obviously you have your Google profile, so that's now linked to you for life. Facebook also have a Facebook Blueprint, which again is free.
Yes.
So all these companies that tell you, we Google certified and all of that. I want to teach.
So you want to get the kids involved with the courses and teach them meditation, which
100%.
is a
So I started teaching meditation this week, and as I said to them, I think the first day there was 3, on Wednesday in the Langa branch. I think there were about 9 ladies in the room with me, and I just showed them how I meditate, and then we went through the same sort of lead up. I do a couple of warm up exercises before we get into it, and then we got into it. And they're actually going to teach me. Like one of the ladies has said she likes moving meditation. I'm like, what is that? And I think it's Tai Chi or whatever, where you like.
Yes.
So so I said,
so you teach, they teach, you learn, they learn.
So these are, and it's an incredible team they're actually part of the staff there. And it's these incredible
amazing
people.
And they say the best way to learn somebody is to teach it. So
we're both learning, like, and what's nice is just knowing that I can give back, and I just want to help people. I mean, my wife and I I think we feel too much, like
empath, or what they call it.
We're very empath. And it's consumes you at times, and
it can be can be depressing because you're
Yeah,
almost
so
overwhelmed.
for Jess now, she volunteers at NSRI, and that's for her. That's now the way of her giving back, because obviously they rescue a lot of people and they do amazing things at Sea Rescue.
All people who are really fulfilled in life have an aspect of service and giving back, and that's I think where you find real meaning in being able to give to others and help. So I think coming full circle, like the hero's journey and what you've gone through, and now getting to a place where you can give back is
amazing,
phenomenal, man.
But no, like I said, that's why I think I've been given a second opportunity at life, and I don't have to worry about work at the moment. I want to help people, and
exactly. And in hindsight, if you didn't go through all the struggle and what you wouldn't be on this path that you're on now. So
no, so I kind of like it's weird. It's like you want to look at it as a curse, like what we've had, but I also see it as a blessing. And I know people hate that word, and but I genuinely do, and I know it's not easy at all for my wife and I, and we have our bad days, and she gets the worst of me, like that nobody else sees, and but we're in it together, and it's just about, and I used to hate people saying just keep positive and all of that, and but it is true, you just got to
keep positive,
and
but also you got to put in the practice.
100%, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah, exactly.
But you got to, first and foremost, is you got to cut out all the bad people in your life.
I was going to ask you about that environment, people you're around.
Yeah, well, since we've been in Cape Town, like we've just had so many amazing friends, and I mean, our friends are just incredible.
Your environment is like, as Bruce Lipton would say, your environment is everything.
Everything is everything.
On a cellular level, everything is environment.
But since we've been in Cape Town, my wife and I, we've like we came from London, and like I lived in London for 11 years, and I think she was there 9 years. And not that we had bad people around us, but it was obviously London's like it's a much bigger environment, and it's a much more competitive environment, and just busy. So there was a lot. And since we've been to Cape Town, like we moved here, and I had no friends here really. Jess obviously had friends from school and that, and they've all just been amazing, And
it's amazing.
Literally,
well, you can't go wrong with people like Ivana and Kerry in your life, and people around Cape Town.
It's Grayson and Alexis, Mark Godson, Clark. I mean, it's
amazing.
Phil Nicole.
Yes.
You've met before.
Yeah.
And they've got amazing kids as well.
Yes. It definitely sounds like you got a solid environment, right?
Yeah, I know. So that's why it's so important, eh?
100%.
But
something I've had to learn the hard way, and you realize that sometimes, as much as you don't want to, you got to either remove certain people from your life, or only be around those people that actually make you want to better your life and have positive energy. And
I know a lot of people are in environments where it's difficult to get out of the negativity, but there is a way out, eh? And if you can meditate, even if it's just 5 days, 5 minutes a day, it's so important.
Yeah, it's a tricky one to get into, because like you obviously had your way of getting into it because of
that's why I said like it's easy. Like I never meditated before.
I struggled, I'm not gonna lie, for years, and I've been trying to get in on meditation probably since about 5-6 years ago, and it's not easy, because it's not something you're like, oh okay, this is cool. It's something that takes work, like everything, but it's like yoga as well. It's like it's truly is something that initially I was like, why are people doing this? But I knew there was something there, and I feel like meditation is crucial in this, especially in this day and age. This society we live in, which isn't natural, we're scattered, we're stressed. Meditation is a way to kind of reset yourself. It's awesome, and it's definitely something that I think everybody should try. And there's many different types of meditation. I mean, you might try one way which doesn't work for you, but if you try another way.
No, I mean, some people meditate while they're swimming. Like you can do
different.
It's like surfing.
Exactly.
But I mean, I would have never, like in a million years, like thought I'd be a yoga fan. But I mean, I can't do all the poses, and I've learned that yoga, you're not supposed to perfect the pose. Like some people can, and I mean, it's beautiful to see when you can perfect a pose. But
100%. Yoga for me, I knew there was something there. I tried it. I couldn't figure it out. And then the ego gets in the way. It's like, oh, I gotta get the pose right. And then you're frustrated because I can't do this pose.
No, I still get like that. Eh?
Yeah, me as well. But you start to realize as you progress, it's like, okay, cool. You do what you need to do for your body, and then it starts to make sense. And for me, yoga is more of a mind workout than physically. It's like sometimes it's hard. It's like your mind wants to like. You have to battle with your own thoughts, and like you come out of a yoga session sometimes it's like, sure, okay, like, it's definitely a lot more than physical exercise.
No, it's 100%. Like it's mostly mind. Like,
yeah, it is.
That's what people forget. It's all mind.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So you're gonna do Ironman next year, half Ironman. It's what the plan, eh?
Well, that's the plan. But yeah, I was speaking. We went cycling this morning, and
amazing.
My wife and I, and she's managed to rope in her friend David, so that will give us a bit of a kick to do it. But either way, yeah, I mean, I think, and I got another mate, Duncan, but yeah, he's keen for
something,
not next year, for the following June.
Yeah.
But I want to now maybe push for January, because I know I've got the running ace, the cycling ace, the swimming I'm working on. So I've recently started swimming lessons, not just open water swimming, basically. But I've realized it's when you're in a wetsuit and that it's and you like it's another, like as I said, it's peaceful out there.
It is. Swimming is something therapeutic about swimming.
And for me, it's not like I used to. My problem, what I realized before I got sick, for me it was a race to everything. So you'd have to. You just want to like get a good time, and now I just enjoy it, and it comes naturally. It's not about beating anyone. It's not about. I mean, obviously you want to do a good time in that, but
the ego. Once you stop trying to force the outcome and actually enjoy the journey, that's 100%. That's where the secret lies.
Then it comes naturally. It's like
and then automatically you do better.
Yeah, it's like in business and that. It's not. Like Simon Sinek always says, it's the why. Like why you're doing something. And that's what life. If you can figure out why, why you're doing things in life. What was that saying the other day that I liked? The way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah, that's so true. I've definitely
said that. I don't know.
Yeah, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. I also can't think of who said that now.
I'm sure it was in a meditation I heard.
I noticed that with myself, because sometimes when nobody's looking, you might do things that you know you shouldn't do, but you get away with it because and that hit home for me when I realized, hang on, the way you do anything, even the small things, is the way you ultimately do everything, and it's so powerful. It really is powerful.
Yeah. But I mean, as I said, so like for me, first and foremost, if I didn't have. Like Jess has been the like anchor to my whole recurring. Like she's the one who found Johnny. She's the one who like researched fasting. Even the cryotherapy, I think she actually told me about.
Amazing.
But she just when she finds things, and she's constantly researching. And obviously now she's gone back to focusing on her company. But the first few months when I got sick, she was just researching, like send me, and like. When we went vegan, when she tried for a few days, but it's I mean she like the dishes that you can make.
It's phenomenal.
Like people think that what can you do with veg? But there's some incredible things you can do with
amazing stuff.
Yeah.
I think when I've been on this journey for years, and a lot of people that initially start is always like, well, what do you eat? What do you eat? What do you eat? There's actually more to eat once you realize the things that you never ate before, because there's such a wide range of foods and whatnot. It's phenomenal. But it's cool to hear about Jess and having such a strong partner foundation like Rock in your life.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's not something that I've only experienced in the last year with having Tara in my life. But if you don't have somebody who's really there to support you and believe in you and all the rest, you're kind of lost. So you're going to be going for a scan next month for like an update check.
I don't know. I must find out the dates and then I'll know.
But you've healed yourself. You are healing yourself. And
whatever the news is, I'm okay with it.
We're definitely going to do a follow-up one of these, another chat, because we can chat for hours, I think, on different topics. So I want to collaborate. I want to get involved with some of the stuff. I want to see what's happening with Project Playground. I want to come out with you, and we need to do more stuff together.
Amazing. Thanks so much for having me, eh?
It's been an absolute pleasure. Ivano messaged me and he said to me, "It's like, it's not just about the podcast. I think you guys will hit it off in terms of other things, and I really think so. I think you're an awesome testament to the fact that you can achieve anything, and
100%, dude.
you're an awesome human being, brother. It's been a pleasure to meet you.
Likewise, eh?
Yeah, thanks so much for your time, man.
Thanks, brother.
Sweet. Cheers, man.
Cheers, dude.
This has been awesome. Yeah.